Israeli military confirmed its airstrikes on Gaza's Rafah the Sunday morning, despite a ceasefire in place. The IDF says the attacks were in response to Hamas firing missiles and opening fire on Israeli forces. Well, as the two sides continue to trade blame, Israel says the Rafah border crossing will remain closed until further notice. For more, France 24's Andrew Hilliar from our International Affairs Desk joins me now. Andy, so what are the latest developments? Fill us in.
Well, this is a very confusing situation on the ground. A short while ago, we heard from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office saying that he'd ordered strong action against any ceasefire violations, but hadn't made an order to return to war. So there have been reports of Israeli airstrikes in southern Gaza around Rafah. The IDF earlier releasing a statement accusing Hamas militants of firing an anti-tank missile and gunfire at IDF troops who were dismantling terrorist infrastructure. That's what the IDF said. They're now warning of further strikes against Hamas. Israel's defense minister also warning Hamas of reprisals. Now, Hamas's armed wing says it's unaware of clashes in or around Rafah, and it says it isn't connected to those clashes. It says it remains committed to the ceasefire agreement, accusing Israel of violating the ceasefire. And we've also just heard from Hamas saying that they've located another body of an Israeli hostage, and they say that if the conditions are right, they'd be able to return the body this evening.
We've also been hearing reports that Hamas militants were targeting Israeli-backed militias. What more can you tell us about that?
These are unconfirmed reports, but Israeli media citing media outlets affiliated with Hamas have reported that Hamas militants seem to have been carrying out an operation, or may have been carrying out an operation, against an Israeli-backed militia operating in the Rafah area. This would have been intended to target Yasser Abu Shabab, a militia leader who has Israeli backing. His militia is called the Popular Forces. This is a man whose militia has exerted powerful control over key aid routes near crossings like Kerem Shalom, and members of his group have also been accused of looting aid and having ties to jihadist groups. This, it is reported, happened under the watch of Israeli forces. So while Israel has routinely accused Hamas of looting aid, Abu Shabab's militia has also been accused of looting aid. There have also been reports since the beginning of the ceasefire of clashes between Hamas and other militias as Hamas seeks to exert its control over the Gaza Strip. But again, these are unconfirmed reports.
And all this goes to show, that formidable obstacles still remain to actually fully implementing the peace plan, doesn't it?
Well, it was never going to be easy fully implementing this ceasefire, let alone the full peace plan itself. This was a very Trumpian deal. And when I say that, it means that it was thin on details and on the finer print. For one thing, the ceasefire, or the peace plan rather, calls for the disarmament of Hamas. So Hamas is supposed to eventually hand over power. Yet at the same time, Trump actually at one point himself suggested that Hamas had been given the green light to control the territory in the short term, or at least exert some kind of control over the territory in the short term to ensure security. And they were supposed to be replaced in the long term by a so-called international stabilization force. But that force hasn't been formed or deployed. Many countries very reticent about committing troops up front. And until there's some kind of interim force, of course, clashes between Hamas and other militia groups that have grown in power throughout the war, well, those clashes will more than likely continue.